I never believed in haunted dolls. That kind of stuff always felt like campfire tales or cheap movie plots. But that changed the summer I inherited my grandmother's house, a creaky old Victorian thing that sat half swallowed by trees at the end of Maple Street. She'd lived there alone for decades. I used to visit as a kid, but never went into the attic. She told me it was just full of old junk, and for some reason, she always kept it locked. After she passed, I moved in for the summer to sort things out. The house groaned like it was breathing, with swelling, floors creaking with every step. On the third day, I found the attic key. Old and rusted, tucked behind a loose brick in the fireplace. I shouldn't have gone up there. The attic was like stepping into a forgotten century. Dust hung thick in the air, dancing in golden shafts of sunlight. Furniture covered in white sheets, stacks of brittle newspapers, cracked leather trunks, all soaked in the scent of decay. But what drew my eye was a tall glass cabinet in the far corner. Inside, nestled on a doily, was a porcelain doll. She was unsettling. About the size of a toddler, dressed in a crimson Victorian gown. Her face was pale, expression soft, but her eyes, God, those eyes. Blue glass, so lifelike they felt wet. Like they weren't looking at me, but through me. There was a little tag on her wrist. Isabelle. Do not remove. My skin prickled when I read it. I don't know why I opened the cabinet. Curiosity? Stupidity? The door let out a groan, like it didn't want to be disturbed. The doll was cold. Not room temperature cold, unnaturally cold, like it had just been pulled from the grave. I brought her downstairs. Set her on the shelf near the fireplace. That night, as I read in the living room, I kept glancing at her. She hadn't moved. But each time I looked, she felt closer. Like she was leaning a little more forward. Her dress, I swear, seemed to rustle. At one point, the lights flickered. I laughed it off. Old house. Bad wiring. I went to bed around midnight. I woke at 3:12 a.m. Something thumped. Soft, but sharp. Like bare feet hitting the floor. Then I heard it, tiny footsteps. Running. Right past my door. I sat up, heart pounding. I told myself it was my imagination. Until I turned on the light. The doll was sitting on my nightstand. I dropped her. She hit the floor with a dull thud, porcelain limbs stiff. I know I left her in the living room. Trying to calm myself, I brought her back to the attic. I shut the cabinet and wedged it closed with an old dictionary. Then I nailed the attic door shut from the outside. Overkill? Maybe. But I needed sleep. The next day, I drove to the antique store in town. The woman behind the counter, Mrs. Elkins, froze when I unwrapped the doll. Her face went white. You brought her here? She asked. She's just a doll, I said, trying to smile. She shook her head. That's Isabelle. That doll belonged to Margaret Wren, your grandmother's great-aunt. Her daughter died in that house, and after that, she claimed Isabelle was possessed by her spirit. Said she talked to her. Played with her. But people started hearing things. Seeing things. Someone disappeared. Margaret locked the doll in the attic before she hanged herself. I left without another word. That night, I drove to the edge of town. There's a river there. Cold and fast. I wrapped the doll in cloth and threw her in. I watched her sink. Her face vanished into the black water. I felt relief for the first time in days. Until I woke up the next morning, and found muddy footprints on the stairs. And a red ribbon on my pillow. That night, she came back. I was brushing my teeth when I saw it in the mirror, a face, standing in the hallway behind me. Small. Smiling. I turned. Nothing. But the lights flickered, and I saw her at the end of the hall. Isabelle. Not a doll anymore. A little girl. Same red dress. But her skin was wrong. Too smooth, too pale. Her eyes were still glass. Unblinking. She raised her hand, and waved. I screamed and locked the door. I didn't sleep. I heard her scratching at the walls. Whispering my name through the vents. At 4 a.m., the power died. My phone turned off by itself. No lights. No sound. Just her breathing. The next morning, I found myself in the front yard. Barefoot. Covered in scratches. The attic door had been ripped open, from the inside. The cabinet was shattered. And carved into the wall above it were 4 words. You shouldn't have looked. That was a week ago. I haven't slept. Every time I close my eyes, I hear her giggling. She's in the mirrors. The shadows. The TV turns on by itself. Always to static. And last night, I woke up to find her handprint on my window. From the inside. If you ever find an old porcelain doll, locked away and forgotten, don't touch it. Don't name it. And for the love of God, don't bring it home.